Hello, welcome to another video. I say another one. It's the first one in several months, and actually the first one this year, and we're almost at the end of April. Just obviously been busy with magazine work, general other work as well, um, and all sorts of things. So, what I'm trying to do now is get some new content for the YouTube channel. Um, Chat about some again retro magazines, carry on with what I started late last year. So there's tons of stuff that I can obviously cover because over the last few months I've been adding new titles. um, I've had a haircut even since then. I think the last video was in about October time. But anyway, so I've just been hard at work on more Amiga Addict and Pixel Addict magazines. Currently, the recent ones are still out for another 2 weeks today. No, next Thursday, the day I'm recording, so one more week. So we had Amiga Addict issue 28, which featured Scala, an in-depth look at that. Like I say, that one is in the shops, in WH Smiths and things. It's sadly Pixel Addict that isn't now. But again, we've got like quite a lot of shows coming up in the next few months. So we've got Doncaster Games Market on the 11th of May, which is only a couple of weeks off now. And then we've also got Revival down in Wolverhampton at the second weekend in June. And then we've obviously got Kickstart as well, the Amiga event over in Nottingham, the last weekend of June. And then we've also got the Knott's Video Game Expo as well in Nottingham again, and that is in the middle of July, 20th and 21st off the top of my head. So again, I've just done an interview with the guys from that for the next Pixel Addict magazine. So I just was going to have a quick catch up really, just with a few recent pickups, and also just some general thoughts on what's going on and stuff like that. I'll just quickly show the current Pixel Addict looks at the history of Tandy. That's gone down quite well really, because it's not the type of thing that most magazines cover. We've said before we want to try and be different to the likes of Retro Gamer, because obviously what they do works. It's been going for a long time, and then also you've got like Debug, you've got the Chris Wilkins magazines as well. So we need to cover some things that others don't, as well as some well-known things as well, because you've got stuff like King's Quest in there as well, so you're going to get some classic game stuff in as well. But anyway, I was just going through a pile of recent editions, we'll say. And one thing I didn't mention, this was probably late last year, quite battered. This was the 1994 Video Games Buyer's Guide from EGM, Electronic Gaming Monthly. So this is now, 30 years old, just over. Like I say, it is absolutely battered. I was sent this from Vic from 10 Pence Arcade podcast. And it's just like looking at some key games from 1993 going into 94. So as you can see there, you've got Mortal Kombat. I've said this before, Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter 2 Turbo were absolutely huge when they came over to consoles. So EGM's Best and Worst of 1993. I'm only going to just show this just for a minute really. It's something I should have really done a full episode on really, but Game of the Year, Samurai Showdown, that's for all game systems. And then Game of the Year for Super Nintendo, Super Street Fighter 2. Game of the Year for Genesis or Mega Drive, Aladdin. Good choice, because it is really good. Game of the Year Game Boy, Zelda Link's Awakening. Game Gear, Sonic Chaos. Still never actually played that, which really does surprise me because I do like the 2D Sonic games. Game of the Year for Sega CD or Mega CD, Sonic CD. The NES is Kirby's Adventure. The PC Engine got Bombman 93, and Neo Geo got Samurai Showdown. And then they just go on. I'm going to in fact, let's see if we can just find the worst games. That's always fun. So have a quick look at the worst games. The worst movie to game for all systems was Home Alone 2. Um, Never played that. I know it got really, really bad reviews, like in things like Superplay and stuff. So luckily, for once, I'm not wasting time on that one. In fact, that's the only worst award they actually give. Yeah, just like flicking through, there's nothing else, you know. Anyway, you've got things like, with it being a buyer's guide, we've got things like the System Wars. So going through all the current systems at the time, bear in mind, again, 93 going into 94. So telling you about the specs, the price, things like that, what it does well. You've obviously got things like the Atari Lynx still in here, but I think by that point you wasn't really getting too much. The Pioneer Laser Active, I don't think it came out over here. The Amiga CD, or CD32 as we call it. And I think it's just by 1994 some of these were falling away quite quickly. So I know I'm just flicking through this quickly to just find a point. Oh, there we go. And again, we looked at Mortal Kombat just a few minutes ago, and then we've got a massive Super Street Fighter 2 with all the moves and all the characters and everything like that, But back then, I absolutely loved seeing stuff like that, because again, this is pre-internet and everything. Now, just through the post earlier, I've got a couple more issues on the way of this, a bit earlier in the 90s. Special Reserve was a very popular mail order website. Well, not even website, mail order I don't know, service, we'll say. So that had been around since the late 80s. Went up until, I think it was around 2003, 2004. I think it went on to around the GameCube era. Anyway, so I got these couple of issues. So we've got one looking at the end of 1999. Then we've got Turok Rage Wars from the N64 on the cover. And the other issue with Zelda Majora's Mask on it. And I'm not going to spend, again, too much time on it because I'm going to do a proper video on these ones here and going back, some of the prices and stuff like that. Some of them will be like, oh God, if only you just bought 10 of those back in the day. But one of the things that surprised me, because I never really noticed it, I think mainly buying, fully focused one format magazines like Superplay or whatever, seeing things like the PC gaming being featured in it, all the different PC bundles they put together and stuff. So that's what I want to have a proper look at. So you've got like the usual adverts that you saw. I'll just zoom in a little bit. The usual adverts that you saw when like all the magazines, be it PlayStation mags, Sega Dreamcast and stuff like that. And then a little bit later on, I mean, these are 40 odd page magazines, so it's not too bad because you joined as a member basically. If I remember correctly, it was about £6, or it started off about £6. So you got a membership card that'd give you perks, including getting this magazine as well. Now, to games magazine fans, nice little extra. And again, it'd save you a few quid as well. So on some titles anyway. And then at the back, you've got a few reviews. So we've got WWF Attitude there. And then we got, again, Turok with Rage Wars. So I don't know who was doing the writing by this point for the reviews. I know Dave Perry from Games Master magazine spent a bit of time on this when it was called NRG magazine. So yeah, I think it's interesting to see that and look back at them. I'm not going to go through the other just yet. As I said, when those others turn up, I'm going to do a video on Special Reserve. So the other ones that I picked up, and this is actually quite funny in a way, were some copies of the One Amiga. Now, the One started out as a multi-format magazine for 16-bit computers, so Amiga, ST, PC. And then after, I think it was 32 issues, it split into the One Amiga and the one for ST. The PC gaming just went, really. EMAP, the publisher, eventually did do a PC magazine, but it was quite short-lived. But then around this time, well, not too much after, you got things like PC Zone anyway, and a little bit after that, PC Gamer, which is still going today. So the ST version only lasted, I think it was about 5 or 6 issues. It wasn't very long, but the One Amiga really ran and ran and ran. And some of these issues, up until I'd probably say 94, are really high quality. You know, it was Gary Penn who launched the magazine. And one of the big things that he wanted, when I've had interviews with him, where he wanted to obviously get into the games themselves. So there's always a section called Work in Progress. Now these were really in depth, like previews, interviews with the game makers and stuff. And the amount of games that the one covered, almost exclusives, because there's so many times other Amiga mags, be it Action, Power or whatever, got, like just a little bit of coverage, but the one always seemed to get these like 3 or 4 page work in progress reports. Now some of them didn't come out at all, but as someone like myself who's interested in the history, someone like Frank Gaskin from Games That Weren't, he's really dived into quite a few things. To see if you can get more of a story to what happened to some of these titles. But anyway, what was listed here were a lot of 1993 and 1994 issues, because I'm not going to collect them all, because the one eventually did turn into, well, a bit of a pamphlet really when Maverick Magazines bought it in the summer of 95. But I have actually just got a couple of the Maverick issues, which still aren't too bad at 60 odd pages. But by that point, they were giving away like full games to try and entice the sales. And then soon after, time it hit 1996, even though the magazine lasted until the end of 96, I think it was, it had turned into like a 30-page magazine. It was just not good, really. But yeah, basically, I just wanted to quickly show these because there is, I can't think what issue it is, a special reserve issue there, advert. There's like a lot of good interviews. One thing I will just show is this one-on-one chat there with Dino Dini, talking about kickoff and goal and his career. Also got this Batman Returns on the cover. Batman Returns on the Amiga is absolutely awful. I played this for, it was a feature on Amiga. So I'm just looking for another thing. I need to start just putting a little piece of paper in so to remember where I'm looking. Yeah, I started playing it for a piece on Amiga Addict ages ago, looking at things like film tie-ins for the Amiga, and it was definitely one of the worst. Then we've also got Alien Breed 2. I will end up going through one of these in proper detail, but where is it? There we go. Hang on. See, they've got a feature there looking at things like how gaming is shown in media. Well, this isn't what I was going to show, but so it's looking at, I know everyone knows Games Master, Bad Influences, stuff like that. But back then, gaming, everyone wanted to get onto the whole gaming hype train. So shows like Going Live had featured a little bit on games. Zig and Zag from Big Breakfast, they used to have a section with Ben the Boffin, and they'd probably just cover games for about 5 or 10 minutes twice a week. And then they've also got Lemmings the Record, done by SFX, they were called. And that's actually been stuck in my head for ages. And then they even have things like the Sun newspaper. They used to have a gaming pull-out. I'm not going to give them too much praise, but yeah, it used to be quite good. So like, people like the Sun, Daily Star and that lot, they used to have these like really nice 8-page pull-out sections, cheats, reviews, things like that. It's absolutely great to see. And where is it? I will find this. Sorry, this is not good at all. Is it on this one? Sorry about this. This is, I'm pretty sure there's only 2 more issues to go through, so I'm pretty sure it is going to be in this one or the last. Yeah, it was a 1994 issue. There we go. Finally, last time lucky. So it's this is something that I was not aware of at all. And this is one thing I'm probably going to just focus on for the next few minutes before wrapping up the video. So this PC, get yourself connected, and the guy in the picture, the guy called Dan, he is a producer, and the show was going to be called Net Attack, looking at the internet and obviously how it was rising in our lives and everything. Eventually just was called The Net, shown on BBC Two. And I've reached out to Dan because there's an interview with him here, and he got back to me earlier, which is absolutely fantastic. So we're going to have a bit of a chat, talk about his gaming past, the TV shows that he's made as well, that touch on gaming, computers and stuff like that. And this is why I love buying the old magazines, because I would have had no idea of that, unless obviously I did watch it at the time, but I didn't. It was all like Gamers Master and Bad Influence, that was it. So it's going to be interesting to, speak to Dan, get a few words with him, and either put it in the magazine or put it on the, podcast. I've not decided just yet, but I'm looking forward to that, really, really am. But yeah, it's, there we go, actually. That was the EMAP PC magazine, PC games. Says what it does on the tin, really, but it took a while to get going, because it was only really, 92, 93 where there was the demand really for the PC games magazines, but yeah, absolutely fantastic. I know I just waffled on a little bit there. I apologise for that. So yeah, lots and lots of things to come. A few more magazines on the way, courtesy of Mark at Sega Mags. Thank you again, Mark. So I'll end up doing another video then. I'll try and put up another one in the next couple of days. Fully focused on one issue. This has just been more of a catch-up, bit more of a hi, I am still around when I'm not writing and planning magazines. I've just missed not being able to chat about them, and things like that. But anyway, I'll speak to you all soon. Thank you for anyone who's stayed subscribing and watching. I appreciate your time there. And yeah, I'll get back to some magazine stuff. Bye-bye.